Okay, the question is whether there's a kind of consensus among tax advisors and financial planners as to whether it makes sense to either do the conversion, or is your question also whether to pay the tax now as opposed to doing the 2-year deferral? A combination of both, really? Well, I think as to the second question, I think there's not a consensus. I think there's a lot of people who think that you should kind of run the numbers in an individual case to determine whether or not it's worth paying the tax in 2010 versus 2011 versus 2012, and it's really anybody's guess what the tax rates are going to be in 2011 or 2012. But I think no one expects the rates to go down, certainly. So I think it's very difficult to say which, for sure, which is going to be better. I will say on the conversion question itself, though, that there's a strong consensus that if your time horizon is long enough, it makes sense to do the conversion, and with as much money as you can afford to pay the tax on to convert. It's not an all or nothing question. You don't have to convert 100% of your traditional IRAs. You could choose to do half of it or 25% or whatever and pay the tax accordingly. But if your time horizon is long enough, so if you're young enough, that's more in favor of doing the conversion. If you're older, closer to retirement, then maybe it won't make sense to do so, because it all comes down to how much time can that money grow inside the Roth IRA, really, and overcome the hit, so to speak, of the taxes you pay on the front end. So I'm very much myself a proponent of the Roth IRAs, and have been putting money in and for a long time into the Roth IRAs, and would encourage other people to do so, although as I get older and older I might start thinking about stopping that. But it's good to have both after-tax and pre-tax money, I think, when it comes time to take money out down the road, because you can then choose which pot to take the money out of. If you're in a high tax bracket down the road, you can choose to take the money out of the money that's already been taxed. And if your tax rates get lower down the road, you might choose to take the money out of the money that hasn't been taxed yet. So it gives you some flexibility from that standpoint too, which is helpful. Just for the same reasons it's good to diversify your investments, it's maybe good to diversify from a tax perspective. So I think doing the conversion in general is good for a lot of people. Question back there. Some financial advisors, at least a couple people that I've talked to Mr. Luck here, have cautioned people against doing the conversions because of a concern that Congress might, let's say, pull the rug out from under the Roth IRAs and change what now is favorable tax treatment. All the earnings grow tax-free and so forth. I have not heard that there's any such discussion going on. So although there's long been talk among tax advisors and professionals that Congress could always theoretically do something like that, I haven't heard that any discussions are actually taking place. I, to be honest, would be surprised if anything like that were done in any kind of manner that would apply retroactively to monies already accumulated in the Roth IRAs. If I were a betting man myself, I would say Congress might well take away the Roth IRA benefit down the road, but only as to new monies going in. It seems to me it would be pretty hard to sell politically after having encouraged people to do these conversions and the benefits of Roth IRAs, to change the law in some retroactive manner that would cause people to have to pay taxes on monies that everyone thought was promised to them was going to be tax-free buildup. But of course, stranger things have happened. Politics being what they are, and certainly people need to be aware that there's a possibility that Congress could change the law, but I have not heard that there is any such discussion. So I still encourage my clients to go Roth, so to speak.